I had always thought the soft plaits in my daughter's hair were harmless. My mother-in-law, my wife's mother, had a way with braids that felt almost ritualistic, something tender, almost meditative. I'd sit nearby, watching her fingers work the strands into intricate patterns while my daughter hummed or giggled. I assumed warmth. I assumed care. It was the quiet mornings that unsettled me first. My daughter would flinch when I reached to touch her back. A quick, sharp recoil I couldn't explain. At first, I brushed it off. Kids are jumpy, I told myself, imagining a dozen innocent scenarios. But the flinches became consistent, tiny alarms I couldn't ignore. I found myself watching her more, noticing the little tells, the way she stiffened at certain touches, the subtle hesitation before leaning into hugs, the way her eyes flickered toward her grandmother even when no one else did. There was a conflict inside me, part wanting to trust, part wanting to act. My calm reflection was increasingly haunted by suspicion. The day she whispered it, the house was still. We were alone, sitting at the kitchen table while she picked at the edge of her lunch. Her voice was barely audible, trembling in the kind of way that makes the world tilt. "Daddy, Grandma hits me there. Because the marks don't show." Her words hung in the air. I froze, trying to measure the weight of what she said, the potential truth behind a child's whisper. For a long moment, there was nothing but silence. I didn't know whether to ask questions or to hold her tight. I settled on the latter, letting her feel the immediate safety I could offer. When I finally looked at her back, there were red marks, not dramatic, not screaming, but there, enough to confirm that her fear was real, enough to shatter the illusions I had been holding on to. I wanted to rage, to confront, to strike back at my mother-in-law. But I didn't. I couldn't. Not yet. Not in a way that would help my daughter heal. I spent that night in quiet reflection. The conflict inside me was raw love for my daughter, loyalty to family, shame at not noticing sooner, and fear of the consequences if I acted wrongly. Every decision seemed weighted with moral ambiguity, every thought tangled with responsibility. By morning, I had begun to plan. The shift in control had to be practical, subtle, and absolute. I limited her grandmother's access, removing the unsupervised moments that had allowed these flinches to exist. I documented what I had seen, what my daughter had said. Authority would intervene, but I had to do the first, necessary steps, quiet, professional, restrained. There was no dramatic confrontation, no shouting matches. The power reversal was slow but undeniable. Over the following weeks, I watched for small signs of trust returning. A tentative hand reaching for mine, a shy smile, a bedtime hug without flinch. I spoke less than I felt. I let silence carry reassurance, letting her know safety existed in our home. My daughter's healing was slow, uneven, and delicate. I realized that control alone could not erase the trauma. She had to feel it herself, at her own pace. Memories surfaced in fragments. A laugh during braid sessions, a sudden yelp at a tug, a fleeting moment of tension that had seemed insignificant. I pieced together what I could, not to punish, but to understand. The narrative of family loyalty, the weight of appearances, the hidden cracks, it all became painfully clear. I did not celebrate the shift in power. There was no triumph, only a quiet victory that my daughter slept that night, without flinching. I remained vigilant, aware that authority had intervened in a way that protected her, but also conscious that her mind carried shadows no one could fully erase. In those moments of reflection, I realized the lingering impact of trauma was not something I could resolve, only contain and witness. Her small gestures of trust were victories in themselves, fragile but significant. Even now, when she curls up beside me, I notice a subtle tension still there, quick flinches when touched unexpectedly, hesitation before embracing someone she doesn't fully trust. And yet, there is also warmth, small proofs that safety can exist, even in the wake of hidden harm. The shift in authority had happened, control had been quietly restored. But the emotional terrain remained uneven, and I learned that power, when exercised with care, can protect without needing to dominate. My daughter's recovery would not be linear, but for the first time, I felt like we could move forward, cautiously and deliberately, in a world where trust had been broken yet not destroyed. The house felt quieter now, safer. And those scars remained, both hers and mine. The flinches became fewer, the moments of hesitation less frequent. A slow rebuilding had begun. I did not celebrate. I simply observed, watched, and held. Quiet victory, without fanfare, without spectacle, only the gentle reassurance that some harms could be contained and some trust quietly nurtured.